Aloha, everyone. How you doing? I trust all is well. I've got a lot to say in a short period of time because I don't think this segment's going to be that long. Well, it could be. I don't know. It depends on you guys. But let me do some housekeeping here real quick. Okay, we're good to go. Let's see here. So I don't know what page you're looking at this from, but if you're on the Gifts of Possibilities page, I put a link on the prior announcement if you want to go live with me. Otherwise, you can just comment like we have been for the last several weeks. So I have a favor to ask from all of you, and that's right now Maui is inundated with wildfires. I'm not in Maui right now. I'm in San Francisco visiting my granddaughter. I'm going halfway through my second week. My intention is to return to Maui on Monday. But currently, right now, there's a whole town, Lahaina, was devastated. It's burnt to the ground. And there's a couple other fires that are out of control also. So if you can send prayers, healing energy, supporting energy, I greatly appreciate it to all of Maui. And most of you that have followed me over the years, you sent me, prayers and healing energy when I was going through my traumas a few months ago. So now I'm asking you to do it for all of Maui. So immense gratitude for that. Thank you. So let's get on with the topic here. Evolve. So I'm going to share something very powerful, very simple, and it's not gonna feel right. It's not gonna feel intuitive. But I will tell you this: it works. But before we get to that, in order to evolve, the foundation for everything, and if you want to have an understanding how I rapidly healed within 7 to 8 weeks rather than going a year to 2 years, the foundation for that to happen, along with everything else that transpired in my life or in my journey, is the foundation of self-love. So if you haven't looked at my prior segment of self-love on July 5th, you can go down any of my pages, any of my business pages, any of my profiles. You go scroll down to July 5th, and I want you to watch that video because I tell you a very complex version of self-love to do. That is the foundation for everything. And if you haven't been watching all the segments, then I ask you to follow up with that following segment on July 12th when I talk about trauma, and I guide you to remember what your trauma is. And a lot of you probably don't even think or feel that you have trauma, or don't even know that trauma exists in your life. But know this: that trauma affects your perception of reality. It affects your belief systems. It has an all-encompassing perspective based on trauma. And until you get rid of that trauma, you're going to keep living that same life over and over again. So after the self-love, go to my next video on the July 12th and figure out, go through the process that I represent or present to you guys, and figure out what your trauma is. And then the following week, July 19th, I had a trauma expert by the name of Deborah Jensen. And she put us through a process to get rid of trauma. So that you may want to look at that. The next segment was healing. And I did that on my own. And with the healing aspect, it's to finally heal from trauma. And I put my own perspective on that. And then the following week, which was last Wednesday, I had Master Sal. And he's a very powerful, energetic healer. And if you want to be healed, I would suggest that you watch that, because in the end, he does two of them. He does a short one and he does a pretty long one at the end. But he's a very powerful, energetic healer. And all these people that I'm bringing on, that I've brought on prior, Deborah and Master Sal, and those that I'm going to bring in the future, they're all healers that contributed to my healing process of rapid healing. Now, here's I'm going to go back to self-love here. One of the reasons why healers from around the world came out to support me, one was because I became vulnerable and started doing an online journey from online journal from the beginning of April all the way to the end of May. I pour it out. I was honest. I felt that was, for me, was a part of the healing process. But in order for me to be that vulnerable, I had to have that self-love, because I had to have that self-confidence that it was okay for me to be vulnerable and share with the world what I was going through, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, and financially. I had to share that. And that contributed to my rapid healing. So I'm going back to the healers. So these healers had all different modalities that were helping me, supporting me to evolve and move forward. Here's the thing. When I started connecting the dots, between healers, I started saying, okay, this healer, represents this and tells me this. And this healer, represents this and tells me this. I started connecting the dots of how they can function together as one. And what I'm about to share with you in a little bit here is, if you're stuck in trauma, then you're not going to evolve, because you're going to think this is how life is, or this is how life is normal, or this is the cards I was dealt with. And that's what trauma does. It keeps you stuck. So you have to evolve from trauma. Now, for those of you that have gotten over your trauma and now are stuck in healing, you're continuously healing, whether emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. If you're continuously in that healing process, they're trying to do an affirmation. You're trying to do an affirmation that you're going to be a millionaire, or that you're going to be in a great relationship, or that your depression is going to go away, or if you continually trying to heal yourself, or going to a different healer, and all that, then you're stuck. So you might have moved on from your trauma, but if you're stuck in healing, then that's where you're going to remain. Every day you're going to try to find something else, something better, something new, something fresh, to help you get through the other side. That's not to say healing is not necessary. It is necessary. But here's the thing, though. If it's not working, then I'm going to introduce something to you. I want you to know, though, and it's like, I know this is the third time I'm telling you this, self-love is the foundation. In order to heal, in order to evolve, in order to realize what your trauma is, self-love is the foundation for everything. If you don't have self-love, you're only going to get so far, if anywhere at all, and then you're just going to bottom out. And so at this point, I got a question to ask you: have you had enough? Have you had enough? And so here's what I'm going to share with you. Humanity has a tendency to make things difficult. And in reality, life is supposed to be simple. And it doesn't matter what we do every day, whatever it's just to make breakfast, or go to sleep at night, or to be in a relationship, or to have money, or to do the right thing. We all have a tendency, humanity has a tendency to make things difficult when in reality it's easy. And this is what I'm going to present to you right now, a very simple formula, process, statements that it's going to seem counterintuitive to you. But trust me, because this works. And this what I'm about to share came from 2 or 3 different healers that supported me to evolve, and what they did worked on their own. What they did for me on their own really, really worked. But what I started doing is I started connecting things together. And just like I did with the trauma and with the self-love, in the prior segments, I presented to you something very easy, very simple, that's very powerful. Well, that's what I'm going to do right now. Is I'm going to present to you something very easy, but yet powerful and yet simple. Now, when we proclaim something to the universe, to life, to the creator, and I'm going to use an example here. It's wonderful. So we put this supposed positive effect or energy out to the universe and say, this is wonderful. And supposedly that's going to change everything, to whatever your experience is, to something wonderful. Let's add another word to it. And this might come across to you kind of negative. As a matter of fact, all these statements might come across to you negative, but I'll tell you at the end what we're doing here. What if you say, instead of this is wonderful, you say, isn't this wonderful? Or isn't it wonderful? So the word isn't it wonderful. What you're doing at that point is you're relinquishing the control of when you say this is wonderful, you're trying to control an outcome. You're trying to control an experience. But when you say, isn't it wonderful? Now you're coming from a neutral standpoint. Even though isn't is a kind of has a negative connotation to it. But in reality isn't it wonderful? Now you're letting the universe, the creator, all life, to make it wonderful. Instead of you stating this is wonderful, now you're saying, isn't it wonderful? Can you tell the difference? There's a huge difference between flat out stating a positive remark or comment versus isn't it wonderful? So now let's say you're trying, okay, I'm going to use myself as an example. So I was going through my TBI, a traumatic brain injury. And in the beginning, it was not good. But when I started going, isn't this wonderful? I was allowing the universe or life or the creator to make it wonderful, because I said, isn't it wonderful? Here's the next statement I want you to say after, isn't it wonderful? I don't know, and I don't care. Okay, so in other words, and then you follow up with the I don't care with whatever you delight, whatever you want in your life. So if I'm going to use myself as an example, I don't know, and I don't care about being healed. Okay, you could put the part about being healed, you can replace that with anything you want. But here you go. I don't know, and I don't care. Now, that to some of you may sound like counterintuitive, like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. What do you mean you don't care, or I don't care? Of course I care. Here's the thing, though. When you say I don't know, that means you're relinquishing to the universe, to life, to the creator, and I don't care. Whatever it is you want to follow that up with, a relationship, money, a medical situation, whatever. And by the way, I'm not a doctor. So as far as if you have any medical conditions, I'm just guiding you. You don't have to trust me that this is going to cure you, whatever you're going through medically wise. All I know is I'm telling you what worked for me. But anyway, so I don't know, and I don't care. And then you follow that up with, isn't it wonderful? Again, you're telling the universe, life, creator, isn't this wonderful? And then you follow that up, and here's the second to the last statement. I do not need or want, and I'm going to use myself as an example. I do not need or want healing. Now that's going to sound counterintuitive, because you would have thought, of course I wanted healing, because I just went through a traumatic brain injury. Of course I want healing. But here's the thing. When I don't need it or want it, then I know it's already there for me. It puts you in the present moment. It puts you there right then and there. I don't need it. I don't want it, because you already have it. Now, some of you may look at it and say, well, if you're telling the life and the universe and the creator that you don't need it or want it, so therefore you're not going to be given to it. That's because that's a trauma-based perception. You get that? When you feel like, when you say I don't need it or I don't want it, and you feel like you're giving it away, like you're not going to get it, that comes from trauma-based. That's why you have to. I'm doing these segments in the order of things for you to support you to evolve and move forward. So we started out with self-love, we started out then healing, and now we're doing evolving. And then next in a couple of weeks we do vibration, and the last one's going to be ascension. But right now we're evolving. So here's the thing. You have to go through the self-love process, you have to go through the trauma process, and you have to go through the healing process to start evolving, okay? Because otherwise you're going to be stuck on this. You're going to say, what do you mean I don't need or want something? In other words, I don't need or want money. I don't need or want healing. I don't need or want whatever. Here's my whole point. When you say I do not need or want, you're in the present moment, and you're telling the universe, because I already have it. Does that make sense? And then you finish it off with, isn't it wonderful? Instead of instead of a statement saying this is wonderful, you say, isn't it wonderful? So I know all these comments come across to you somewhat negative, but here's the thing though. When you understand what you're saying, what you're actually telling the universe, telling life, the creator, then you'll start having miracles. I'm a walking miracle, flat out. I'm a walking miracle for everything I've gone through in the last 3 months, 4 months. I don't know how long it's been. I'm a walking miracle. Even the medical field tells me I'm a walking miracle. My friends, my family tell me I'm a walking miracle. How I've bounced back so rapidly. And I'm telling you, everything that I've used from the beginning all the way up until now, and what I'm going to continue to be telling and sharing you in these segments, and along with the other healers that supported me, I am telling you something that's very simple, but yet very powerful. How you express yourself is how the universe, life, and the creator are going to respond to you. Do you understand that? How you express yourself, not only just through spoken word, but with your thoughts and your emotions, how you express yourself, that's how the universe, life, and the creator are going to respond to you. So again, I'm going to repeat it really quick here. And you can use this for anything and everything. All right? Whatever you desire in life, whatever you require in life, use this formula, use this process, because it's powerful. It is so freaking powerful. It's amazing. So you started off, so you picture in your mind what it is you desire. Okay, I'm going to use $1 million. So let's say you picture $1 million in your mind. Okay, and then you say, isn't it wonderful? I don't know, and I don't care about the $1 million. Isn't it wonderful? I do not need or want $1 million. Isn't it wonderful? Try that. Now, here's the last tidbit I'm going to share with you that enhances and makes this more powerful. So I want you to write that down, because you're going to have to practice it, okay? Do this when you're ready to fall asleep at night. And what will happen is, in the morning when you wake up, you will start receiving guidance. You will start receiving insights to whatever it is that you desire or require in life. And I would suggest you start small. You know, if you're looking for a new vehicle or a new partner, or Start small because you have to practice. But again, in order to use this verbiage, you have to have the self-love. You have to figure out your trauma and heal your trauma. So that's the next part, healing. Because when you say these words, they're not going to make sense to you. Because it comes across to you as negative, because that's a trauma-based perspective. The negativity that you feel that you feel you're saying, that's a trauma-based perspective. I want you to understand that. If these words don't sound right to you, it's because you're coming from a trauma-based perspective, and you have to evolve you have to heal that. Okay? Otherwise, this is not going to make sense to you. So I'm going to repeat it once again for those of you that do not have nothing to write with. Isn't it wonderful? I don't know, and I don't care. Isn't it wonderful? I do not need or want. Isn't it wonderful? It's as simple as that. And it's very powerful. I wish you all the best. I'm here to support you. In my journey that I had a few months ago, or a couple months ago, because of the self-love, I had a lot of positive vibrations, love, comments, healing energy sent to me. I had healers from around the world supported me. And why I'm doing this is I'm giving back. I'm giving back to my community and to the new people that are following me now. And I'm giving back to the healers because I'm giving them promotion, because we all deserve to support each other. And that's what I'm doing. And as I just said a little while ago, a couple of times already, what I did is I put two healers' perspectives and I combined the two to what I just created for you, what I just read to you. Use it. And as I said a minute ago, if it comes across to you as negative, then that means you're coming from a trauma-based perspective. And you got to resolve that, because it's going to continue to come across as negative. But in reality, it's positive. I thank you all for joining me. Mahalo keakua. I love you all. Remember to say a prayer for Maui. I greatly appreciate that. Mahalo.